Welcome everybody, I'm Alexander Linz, head of content of WatchAdvisor.com, and today I am welcoming you from Le Locle in the Swiss Jura. We're close to the French border. We are at the headquarters of ZENITH, and it's not a coincidence. We are in the year 2019, it's February 2019. The El Primero celebrates its 50th anniversary this year. It was presented in 1969 the first time, and this is the reason I'm here today. The El Primero chronograph calibre was the first one, El Primero, that was introduced in 1969 with an automatic winding system, be able also to measure the 1/10 of a second. The movement was a demand because people didn't want to wind their chronographs any longer. So they said, okay, let's get rid of those manual winding chronographs. Let's have an automatic chronograph that will, by the movement of my wrist, charge the barrel by itself. And the movement already should have come to the market in 1965, but there were technical problems and they had to delay the development for another 4 years. And in the end, the movement was presented in 1969, and it was in fact the very first automatic chronograph movement that was ever on the market. And there was a guy behind called Charles Vermot. He was in charge of developing the calibre. The movement came out, they started to manufacture the first watches, and the first watches came to the market and everybody was happy. And then all of a sudden the quartz-crisis. Watchmaking was almost done. Mechanical watchmaking was no longer demanded because everybody seemed to believe in quartz. And it was in these days when ZENITH was sold to an American company, and this company, they decided to use the facilities of ZENITH to manufacture quartz watches here. When in 1975, Charles Vermot was told to stop the entire production of this movement. You not only stop the entire production, Mr. Vermot, but you're going to get rid of all these kind of materials we need, or you needed, with your ancient engineers and watchmakers to manufacture a mechanical movement. Get rid of it, throw these things away, just put them on the garbage. So he said, no way. And this is a story I am going to tell you together with Romain. We are going to start right after. And the story why the El Primero calibre survived, why everything was possible. It's due to the attic you see here in the background. And we will go into that story right away. We're sitting now in a very mythic place here at ZENITH. With me now is Romain Masili. Welcome. You are a watch trainer at ZENITH?
Yes.
So you are training customer?
I'm the watch trainer for the watchmakers that repairs watches around the world.
And let's just jump back to time. Imagine that guy who invented the most, let's say, advanced chronograph movement at the time, being automatic 1/10 of a second, modular, very flexible modular construction, and all of a sudden, due to the fact that the quartz watches came, everything should disappear.
Yeah, big crisis in the watch industry at the time, and when the company that bought ZENITH at the time decided to get rid of all this know-how, this gentleman Charles Vermot got scared. So we are in a place where he has hidden everything. Without this location, I would not be here talking to you, most probably.
We are in an attic, and this attic was used by Charles Vermot and some of his friends.
Yeah, his brother helped him.
Brother?
Yeah, absolutely. His brother helped him to carry all these tools, to bring them here. When he got the order to get rid of everything, he really wanted to store everything somewhere. He really wanted to have a place where he could have all the tools, but not only, all the drawings, also operating gam, everything he wanted to put in a location. And since his company refused to have this local, he came here in this attic. And at night, with his brother, he carried everything and he stored everything meticulously, in a way that maybe one day we could restart the production. This was his idea.
So really Charles Vermot said, okay, no, not with me, we're not going to destroy these values, we're not going to destroy the heritage, everything we brought in, we are saving it. And he refused the order of the company and said no.
Exactly, he wrote a letter and he got barely no answer for that.
Wow.
So at the risk of his life and getting fired and everything, and even his personal life, because he didn't say anything to anybody, and even his wife was thinking, because so many nights he was away, that he had a girlfriend somewhere.
Oh my God.
So imagine the story. You know?
Yeah.
So only him and his brother and a few guys knew,
Yeah.
but nobody cared at the time, because they were telling him, look, we are, it's over the mechanics, you know, you be in the present, you know, we are in the electronic era, so forget about the past.
Okay, and everything should have been destroyed.
Completely.
We are talking about pretty values, I think.
It's 7 million total. We're talking about 147 stamping tools, and each of these stamping tools are worth 40,000 Swiss francs at the time.
Wow.
So imagine
7 million Swiss francs, but not in Swiss francs today, but in 1970.
Absolutely.
1973.
73. Yes.
73. So that was really much money. And stamping tools, just to explain to our audience, what are stamping tools?
Stamping tools are the best tools to produce in a big quantity components, and to allow these components to be very precise but very interchangeable. From the first to the 10,000th of the component, it's absolutely identical. And it's a technique that will cut. If you have blades of metal going through these stamping tools, you have a positive and negative shape that will cut the components. And this is the best way and the more precise way to produce mass quantities of components. This is an example of the stamping tool. So this is one of the 147 of these tools that have been hidden, that
worth
are
about
used.
50,000.
Yeah, this one probably a bit less, 20, 25. This cuts components, one cut, one component. Once this is on a machine, you can cut components every second.
Yeah.
Okay,
Would this
possible.
tooling still work?
This, yes, we will have to adjust both here, let's say male and female, we call negative and positive.
But in the end, some adjustments.
Yes, everything would be.
And will work again.
Yes, it's made to be used on a machine that does not exist anymore. That's why this is maybe not.
But in case
But of course, you could reproduce the same components thanks to this stamping tool, of course.
Incredible story, really incredible story.
Yeah.
Dating back in 1973.
Absolutely, yes. And what is interesting is that it has been for 10 years completely hidden here, because as we were saying, it just concrete sealed the attic, and nobody knew for 10 years that there was such a value here hidden. When you arrive here, you see that the wall here has been added. This is the wall that Charles Vermot has built once he has hidden everything, because he didn't want anybody to come here and see his treasure. So it's a concrete sealed door that for 10 years blocked the access to this attic. So the calibre, the ZENITH El Primero movement is really the movement you use when you want to take some measurements, because 1/10 of a second, I think you will agree, makes sense. Absolutely. It's the only way, let's say, to measure really periodic time. It's at least to be precise as a 10th of a second. Yeah, but 1/8 of a second is useless. No, for sure. No. But what would you use it for?
When measuring sports event or measuring anything you do with a chronograph, what is the time you read from the chronograph? You read hours, minutes, 1/10, 100ths and 1,000ths of a second. And this is what the El Primero, due to the oscillating frequency of its balance wheel, it oscillates with 36,000 half swings per hour, or 5 Hertz. So the watch is really able to display 1/10 of a second. And most of the chronographs, look at your wrists, guys, most of the chronographs, these movements are not 5 but 4 Hertz chronographs. So they oscillate, or the balance wheel oscillates with 28,800, and these watches do not display 1/10 of a second but a 1/8 of a second. And now, if anyone out there in the entire world can name me any sport event or any event that has been ever measured in 1/8 of a second, please call me, or no, call me, you can't call me, but shoot me an email or write a comment underneath, and you will get a bottle of the very best champagne I can find on earth. Anyhow, you won't find anyone, but try. So 1/10 of a second is the real frequency a chronograph needs on your wrist if you want to use it as a chronograph. And this was what the ZENITH El Primero movement was able to do. So most of your chronographs are 28/800 chronographs with 1/8 of a second, and they are nice, but in reality you can't use them.
And the place is pretty tricky to find, because when we came here we had to go out of the building, in the building again. We went up some free stories.
Yes.
It's pretty tricky. It was I think it was by purpose to say, okay, go here because nobody will ever take care of this attic here.
Absolutely, absolutely. This house was not connected to the rest of the buildings. You had to go out. So we believe it's one of the main reasons why he chose this area. Like so, he had the key himself, and this was also something very important. At the time, he was so trusted by the company that he could have the keys of these attics and come and even by night be in the area. So we believe he chose this on purpose. Yes.
Yeah. And then as the miracle continues, ZENITH was bought back by a Swiss group.
Yes, Mr. Paul Castella, Dixie tool making, that is right here next door in Le Locle. So this is a very important information, because at the end ZENITH is back on Swiss hands, with again this heritage that comes back to the Swiss owners.
Yeah.
And thanks to Mr. Castella, we keep on going with some realization of movements, but it's only in the beginning of the 80s when Mr. Gerber, knowing about Rolex that wants to put back a chronograph on one of his models, the Daytona, goes to Mr. Charles Vermot, that was still here working, and ask him, is it true? Have you hidden everything? Are you sure we're going to be able to reproduce again this chronograph? Because there's an interest. And Charles Vermot says, almost crying,
of course, imagine.
We can.
What a moment this must have been.
For him was just a moment of his life.
Yeah.
This has been reopened when we wanted to reproduce the El Primero in the 80s, early 80s. We came here and we found the Alibaba cavern, kind of. I always say 7 years that I teach this movement to watchmakers all around the world, and I don't get bored. And also it's so amazing to see the level of it and tangibility. You take the main plate from the 70s and you put the components that we produced 2 weeks ago as normal repair or maintenance for a watch, and it works perfectly. So you have to imagine the level of knowledge, or the level of achievement that these guys in the 70s...
They were ahead of time, almost,
Completely ahead of time.
So really you could use a main plate from the 70s with fitting with the components from today would work?
That's what I teach.
That's incredible.
Guys around the world. Absolutely.
That's really incredible.
No,
that's mythic.
It's the emotion I get working on this caliber since so many years. There's no, you cannot express this. This is what the chance we have ourselves here is. This movement is so watchmaking that every watchmaker has a blast whenever he works on that, because we can repair every areas we have a hand on. And this is also because it's 1970s techniques with the machines that were not maybe as precise as now, and that some operations needed still to be done by the technician.
Manual adjustments.
Absolutely. You know, he was a visionary. Simply a visionary, and not a visionary that knows a lot about the world. He grew up here, he's from Le Pont Martel, did all his life here, but really just wise man. The heritage that he leaves us here, just one man. Imagine his brother was in the confidence, but just helping him carrying things, because he had carried kilos or tons of material, so by himself he wouldn't have been able to do it. But really, thank you, Charles Vermot, because without him, there was a generation of watchmakers that would not have the pleasure to work on this product. This is a real pleasure to work on the product.
50th anniversary of the El Primero movement.
Yes.
50th anniversary, and we are here where everything almost ended and restarted again.
Absolutely.
And we will continue the story. Stay tuned.
But we have arrived in the reality these days, and it's where the actual El Primero movement is completely assembled. We are in the, how about you call it here?
Here we are in the assembling departments,
Yeah,
so we have reunited all the assembling departments. It means the pre-assembling, you know, putting the rubies and things like this, through the assembling of the movement and the final assembling of the watch.
So everything is done on this floor?
Absolutely, the whole floor here regroups all these departments. to be able to communicate closely and to be able to master the flow also and the quality.
So the parts come in, they're controlled, and then step by step assembled until the watch starts to breathe or starts to oscillate. Then
we have the movements here that are assembled in this area, the checking of the regulation, that the movements are for 1 or 2 days or so they run in order to get the precision stabilized, and then they are assembled directly here with the cases, the dial, the hands. So you have from the entry of this floor to the exit of the floor, the whole watch that gets assembled.
Okay, great. And this is El Primero 2019.
Absolutely.
Where we started in 1969, and we arrived in 2019, 50 years later.
Absolutely. This is where we still assemble everything like it used to be, but more in a let's say industrial way with the machines and equipments from 2000.
And we have to say once again, thanks to Charles Vermot.
Absolutely.
Everything here wouldn't be able.
Probably
it's an incredible story. Still, it's still amazing for me.
Yeah, for me too, because it's part of my history as well. Again, I have so much pleasure working on these movements that without this person, I would not get so much blast every day. Yeah?
And the last part of our little journey today will be that we are going to discover the special set that Zenith put together, 50 pieces, limited pieces for you if you want one. It's a special surprise, and we are just going to see that right now. Huh?
Okay.
So Roma, coming back from the workshops where we just have seen how the El Primero these days is put together, we are now in your little, let's say...
training room.
Training room?
Yes, absolutely.
I am being trained now. I will get trained from Roma. We chose the training room of Roma for a specific reason, because the atmosphere we have here with the watchmaker table is something that also Zenith offers its clients for the 50th anniversary in kind of a limited series of 50 boxes.
Absolutely. It's a whole experience that the customers will be able to live, because they will come here to collect these boxes, and we might also be able to give them a little piece of history, because they will be able to stamp a little component in two times. One, they can bring it with them in their box, and one that we might also display, if they agree, with the name on, where we have been seeing the attic. So this also to be
kind
part
of a wall of fame.
Of the nursery. Yeah, it's a kind of a hall of fame. The
wall of fame.
Yes,
okay.
that we want to do.
So 50 of those lucky guys who will buy one of the boxes.
Yes.
Priced at 45,000 euros, because I am sure someone will ask how much. 45,000 euros. The box is at least giving you the impression you have your own little watchmaking table.
Exactly, because you actually have a movement, a little train wheel with the 36,000 that you can wind yourself up, and like so you see also the expression, and you can hear also this expression of the tenths of a second.
Yes. Included, of course, with the 45,000 are free watches. The first one is the, let's say, a replica?
So replica, yeah, absolutely. It's the fidel replica of the original A386, the El Primero 3019 PHC, the reference before. And it's a really complete reset of the 38 millimeter with, of course, the generation of today's El Primero.
Okay. And with a see-through bottom that the original watch did not have.
Exactly.
But the rest is, as I learned today, is as good as best, or as as close to the reality as it was, or as close to the original.
Absolutely. We went even working with the index to get the right color, because you knew at the time there was no such superluminova, so we had to find also some specific suppliers to make this color as it was originally.
50 pieces only of the steel replica. If you buy the box, 50 pieces. The next watch that is also in the box included is, let's say, a next generation of El Primero.
Absolutely.
It features the 3600, the new generation. What's different with the 3600 caliber?
This, we really wanted to have this chrono to be able to really display the tenths of a second this time, and to have the functionality that is completely interchangeable. This also, as a goal, as a manufacturer of movements, you will be able to have a normal chronograph, and you will be able to have the tenths of a second, a really clear measurement by changing only 2 parts. And this is also what we want to achieve.
And the watch has a ceramic bezel with a special engraving displaying the tenth of a second, since the hour hand is not the hour, the second hand is turning once around in
10 seconds.
In 10 seconds, and so you're really able to read out the measurement you're doing with 1/10 of a second.
Completely,
So,
and this is the whole goal, and to have really the hands, whenever you stop it, to be precisely aligned to the tenths of a second.
So instead of taking 60 seconds, it takes 10 seconds, and the scale around from 0 to 10 will enable you to read out the 1/10 of a second immediately.
Absolutely.
Okay. And the third watch, it's, let's say, generation 21
Absolutely,
or 21st
that's
century.
how we call it, yeah. 21st century, because we measured a 100th of a second, and here it's a little bit specific because we have like 2 movements in a one.
Yeah.
There's one traditional 5 hertz El Primero movements, 36,000 alternates, and the other one is 50 hertz. That's why we have a complete independent train wheel to be able to have the measurements to the tenths of a second. So here we have a hand that makes
hand
1
is
turn
really
per second. It's very,
so
very
once
nice.
per second.
Once per second, can measure up to 50 minutes the chronograph, and it's precise to the second every 30 minutes.
So the regular escapement is a 5 hertz.
Absolutely.
And the escapement that is dedicated to the chronograph is 50 hertz.
Absolutely.
1/100th of a second. So
yes,
you have 3 watches on the table. The second hand will take 60 seconds, 10 seconds, and 1 second.
Absolutely.
And then there is, as you already saw, with the box, there's one empty space, the magical empty space.
Yep.
And those who buy one of those 50 boxes are the first one to be able to buy the next generation, and I assume this will be 1,000.
Yes,
of a second.
Absolutely, it makes complete sense to try to go to this measurements even mechanically, and this will be the goal for the guys that buys this box. Will be maybe in the future to have a product that measure the thousandths of a second.
Okay. This is not included in the price yet, so the 45,000 euros I mentioned, you get the free watches, you get the box, you get the tooling, you get the possibility to come here, to pick up your watch, to go and to work with that historical
stamps, yes.
stamps, as we discovered them this morning.
Absolutely.
From
the same style, you will be able to get an original component out also. It's like
so this is the entire package you buy.
Absolutely.
You have a dinner. There will be a dinner with
completely. You get invited. You get the
Julien
tour,
Tornard, the CEO,
will be there, welcoming you and having a tour with you, and having also the dinner, and also you'll be able to go and do this operation where Charles Vermot has hidden the part.
Well, so we have seen this morning.
Exactly, it's really the link with our heritage.
So this is the entire package of the box you are seeing. And I think it's a nice thing because it's emotional. It's something thought through. It's not just, okay, let's do any limited edition, okay, blah, blah. And you have been thinking a bit, and you have been putting in some emotions.
Yeah, true. And again, it's a heritage matter more than really a product. I think we believe we have something to lead for the history of watchmaking. So this is why we propose this, and this is why the replica with also the El Primero as it's built now, because we were talking about this morning, how close it is to reality, makes also complete sense, because you get a replica, but inside you get the El Primero original 50 years after.
This true emotional story with all the things I've been telling you. And just in case you say, oh my God, I don't want to buy this case, but I want one of these watches in steel, unfortunately only with the box. But there will be an edition in red and yellow gold. You heard, yellow gold is coming back a little bit. Red and yellow gold, both watches will be limited to 50 pieces, and these will be available without the box, of course, and have nothing to do with that set.
Absolutely, yeah.
So this is an occasion if you still want to buy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alexander.
It was a pleasure to have you.
Yeah,
incredible. And thank you for this emotional story. I have goosebumps.
Yeah, but it's my pleasure to invite you here and to show you this, because as I was telling you, for me, You know, my grandparents were not born when we were in this company was created, and I hope my grandkids will be still alive, that Zenith will still exist. So we're just going through this brand, and I'm feeling very proud to be part of this, yes. So thank you.
Nice final words, nothing more to say. Thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you very much for your attention, and I think this was an incredible story we have been telling you about this chronograph, legendary chronograph caliber, the El Primero, that now celebrates, or this year in 2019, celebrates its 50th anniversary. So, there was that guy, Charles Vermot, who saved, we have literally say he saved the whole thing, because if he wouldn't be so tough, if he wouldn't have been so tough and so smart to really hide all the tools and everything and to bring them up into the attic, today probably Zenith wouldn't be where it is. So thank you once again for watching. If you like what we are doing, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, do like our videos, and if you have any comments or questions to make, as always, please be so kind, write a comment, use the comment section just here underneath, and I will be more than happy to answer you. Thanks again for watching, and bye-bye from Zenith, from Le Locle in the Swiss Jura Alps, from a wonderful day, blue skies, sunshine everywhere, a happy day for me. Bye-bye.